What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video, and this one is my team selection for Game Week 27. So I'm going to run you through what I'm going to use my transfer on this week, Palmer versus Salah captaincy, and also what my future moves might look like for blank Game Week 29. And before all that, I'll quickly show you how I did in Game Week 26. So let's get into it. So let's start with how I did in Game Week 26, and it felt a little bit rubbish, to be honest with you. I scored 81 points, which wasn't a disaster. I only fell from 123k to 129k, but I saw so many scores being posted last night of 100 plus, because people had Glasner for 20 points where I've got Slot for 10, and a lot of people own Munoz with a goal and an assist. Instead, I've got Joachim Andersen in that same match, who also scored. Unfortunately, it was in the wrong net. And the game week started really well, a 14-pointer from Mbeumo on Friday night, but Saturday afternoon was just terrible. As soon as Bournemouth got that red card, I knew it was game over for Utara, who I bought in for Rodgers. It's very rare that a team goes down to 10 men and then your player scores big, and that's not what happened. He got 2 points. Wanyeri 2 points, Gabriel 2 points, Pickford 1, which I was quite happy about, to be honest, especially for Bruno Fernandes owners. And then I went into the game week thinking if Joachim Andersen could get a clean sheet, that would mean that Glasner's points would be minimised, because either he's lost or he's just got a 0-0 draw. But instead, Joachim Andersen scores the first goal. And then Saturday didn't get any better because Palmer blanked and so did Watkins. So I felt great after Friday, terrible after Saturday. And Sunday kind of turned around a little bit. A Trent 6-pointer clean sheet. Salah captain obviously gets returns as he always does. Slot 10 points, which was quite nice. And Isak 13-pointer. And as a non-owner, Chris Wood only got an assist. So all around, Sunday was quite good to me. And I'm quite happy with the decision to not sell Slot for a hit. In the end, I just decided not to do that. And he's come away over 10 points. So I think that was a good decision. Obviously, if I'd gone to Glasner, I'd be up on points. But had I known that Slot was going to get 10 points, there's no way I would have sold him for a hit to any other manager. So happy enough with that decision. The only annoying thing was João Pedro 12 points against Southampton. We didn't know before the deadline that Welbeck was injured. Otherwise, I would have played him. But if I'd played João Pedro, I would have not sold Rodgers and would have benched him. I would have had a transfer to use. And I probably would have done Slot to Arteta. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I would have gone to Glasner. I don't think I would have. And so actually, I wouldn't have been that much different in terms of points overall because Arteta got nothing. So not a great week, but 130k at this stage of the season is not awful. Hopefully, at some point, I can push on a bit further into the top 100k, maybe top 50k, but I got to do it sooner rather than later. So let's look at Game Week 27. So going into this week, I've only got one free transfer, but I do now have 1.7 million in the bank because my assistant manager chip has finished and I've got the money back from Arne Slot. I don't think I'm going to make a transfer in my defence, even though I could kind of do with one, because I'm probably going to make an attacking change instead. And rarely is it worth it to take a -4 for a defender. So I'm probably just going to have to play the players I've got. And annoyingly, and this is going to haunt me for the rest of the season, selling Munoz weeks ago just looks really bad now. Because a lot of people are going to have a very similar defence to mine, Pickford, Gabriel and Trent. But they're going to have Munoz in that slot where I've got Andersen. And it just feels really bad when he's got Villa at home this week and Ipswich at home next week. But I don't think I can buy him when he doesn't play in Game Week 29. I'll think about it, but I just don't think that's a move that I'm going to make. So Pickford in goal, happy enough with him. He'll be swapped on wildcard. Gabriel, I think most people that own him are just going to play him the whole way through. So it's Forest away this week, Man United away in 28 and Chelsea at home in 29. On paper, it's not the greatest fixture on, but we know how good that Arsenal defence can be. He's got goal threat as well. And at the moment, with Conor Bradley injured, Trent should start every game, right? He did look pretty knackered when he got subbed off last night against Man City, but that was around the 85th minute. He's going to start again against Newcastle, and he's got Southampton at home in 28. There might be some rotation for that Southampton game because it is in between the PSG Champions League games, but I just think Trent will start and he'll just come off early. So I think I might sell Trent in 29, but there's no need to consider it before then. And then my other defensive options for that third slot is Joachim Andersen against Wolves away, Mykolenko against Brentford away, which would be a double up on the Everton defence, or Greaves against Man United away. So I think Andersen is probably the best option. I'm not sure this is a week where I want to double up on the Everton defence. Either way, I'm probably going to have my attackers playing against that defender. So if I bring in CUNHA, which I probably will do, and I'll talk about that in a minute, he's going to be up against Andersen. But even if I play Mykolenko, I've got Mbeumo. It's not an ideal situation, but I don't think it's worth a -4. If that -4 saved me a hit later on in 29, I'd probably do it, but I don't think it does. So unfortunately, I've got Anderson once again up against Munoz. It doesn't feel ideal, but I've just got to see it out and hope for the best. So in midfield, I've currently got Ethan Nwaneri on the bench. We haven't had an update from Mikel Arteta yet. That will come on Tuesday in his press conference, but Nwaneri was seen limping as he went off the pitch against West Ham. Arteta did say after the game that hopefully he's not injured, that it was just fatigue. But either way, I probably don't need him for game week 27, so I might play him against Man United away next week, if not in the blank against Chelsea at home. As long as one of Martinelli or Saka remains out, Nwaneri should start when he's available. In Burmo going nowhere, Everton at home this week, fixtures all the way through to the blank. No way am I using a transfer on him at this stage of the season. And then Utara is pretty good against Brighton away, but I am slightly worried that Evan Nielsen was in the squad for Bournemouth against Wolves at the weekend. Now, he wasn't used, but Bournemouth were down to 10 men, and he's only just back from injury. So that's not all that surprising. But there are slight concerns about Utara's minutes going forward. Probably enough to put me off if I was buying him right now. But as he's already in my squad, I think I've just got to live with it. And just because Evan Nielsen is back doesn't mean Utara definitely comes out of the 11. He could continue playing number 9 because he's done so well. Or even if Evan Nielsen comes in, he could play in one of the wide positions. But I would expect his minutes to go down now. So I am a little bit worried. And I think generally a lot of other people already have a better team than me for 29. And they have less minutes risk. And they've got more transfers. So I feel a little bit behind at the moment. But there's not a huge amount I can do about it. There's every chance that Utara and Nwaneri will just start the next 3 game weeks and it's not a massive problem. If it becomes a problem, I'll take hits to fix it in 29, but I'm just going to have to see how it plays out. And I think Utara's done well enough to kind of keep his place in that 11. I would just expect him to be subbed a little bit earlier now. In terms of captaincy, I still currently have the armband on Palmer, and there's every part of me that wants to captain him because it's Southampton at home, but I'm not sure I can leave the armband on him. I've mentioned Rob T FPL on Twitter, the graphics that he puts out based on bookies odds, and Chelsea are down for 3 goals against Southampton, which is pretty huge, right? They are predicted to have the most goals this game week. If that happens, Palmer's going to be involved, but Salah is having an all-time season, and I'm just not sure I can back against him. Like, it's absolutely insane the output he's had so far. He is on 285 points already after 26 game weeks. The record held by Salah is 303. So he's 18 points off matching that with a lot of games still to go. And Newcastle at home, like Newcastle doesn't strike me as this amazing defence away from home. Like Liverpool are going to cause them so many problems. Newcastle did really well against Forest, scored 4 goals. They also conceded 3 at home. If they can concede 3 at home to Forest, what are Liverpool going to do to them? And also, this should not matter whatsoever, but I looked it up. Salah's got 2 goals, 1 assist in each of his last 2 games against Newcastle. And also, when people have gone against him, it's gone wrong. The last game was obviously this season, and that was back in game week 14. It was a 3-3 draw. And in game week 14, Palmer had Southampton, and he got 7 points in a 5-1 win, which was really annoying for anyone that went Palmer. And it also happened, and I remember this because I went Salah, everyone else went, or a lot of other people went Alvarez. It happened on New Year's Day, I think, in 2024. Alvarez got 7 points against Sheffield United, so similar to what Palmer did this season against Southampton. And Salah went and got 2 goals, 1 assist. That stuff should not matter in our decisions one bit. But also, right now, Chelsea and Palmer just not playing all that well. And I would not be surprised if they walk away with another 5 goals in this game and suddenly their form looks a bit better. But going against Salah is just really hard at the moment. It's just scary. And it's not scary because of effective ownership and how many people own him. It's scary because of how good he is and how many points he might score. So I do have the armband on Palmer, but I'm telling you right now, it's 90% chance that it's on Salah by the deadline, because is it just worth the headache of going against him right now, especially in such a good fixture? Probably not. It's not Southampton at home, but it still ain't bad, Newcastle at home. And then up front, I've got João Pedro, Ollie Watkins and Alexander Isak. I think my basic plan with Watkins and Isak is to hold them for 27 and 28 and then decide what to do with them in game week 29 when neither of them have a fixture. Watkins will be an easy sell that week because I probably won't want him 30 onwards, so I can just decide who to bring in game week 29. Isak will be harder to sell, but compared to a lot of other FPL managers, I don't have much money wrapped up in him. So I might sell him and play a 3-4-3. I think a lot of people that are not free hitting in 29 are going to hold Salah and Isak and play 4-4-2. So I might sell him, but those decisions do not need to be made until 29. Watkins and Isak do have away games in 27-28. So Watkins is Palace away, Brentford away. Isak is Liverpool away, West Ham away. But I don't think there's many other forwards out there that feel like must-have right now. So I'm just going to keep hold of them. João Pedro started against Southampton because Welbeck was out. If Gjertsås says that Welbeck is available for Bournemouth at home, there's no guarantee that João Pedro will start, even though he got a goal and assist in the last match. So I probably will want to sell him. If Welbeck is out, I could just play João Pedro and roll the transfer, or maybe make a defender change instead. But I kind of want to do João Pedro to CUNHA with that 1.7 in the bank. And when I checked my suggested transfers over on Hub, that was exactly the same move that was recommended to me. As always, link in the description below. 7-day free trial at the moment if you want to check it out for yourself. So João Pedro to CUNHA just makes a lot of sense. And I've looked at future plans going to Game Week 29, and it still leaves my options open for what I want to do. So I think I'm probably going to do João Pedro to CUNHA and then just play Anderson, even though it's not ideal. If I play João Pedro, I could make a defender change instead, which would probably be Anderson to Aït-Nouri. But that means it takes some of my money out of the bank, and I can't afford to do João Pedro to CUNHA next week. And the reason that worries me is with Utara and Nwaneri already, and then possibly João Pedro doubts generally if Welbeck is fit, I'm not sure I want to be in that position. So I'm fairly sure I'm going to do João Pedro to CUNHA, and that'll be my moves. So if I make that João Pedro to CUNHA transfer in Game Week 27, this is what my team would look like for 28. So Pickford against Wolves away. Not ideal that he's up against CUNHA, but I'm not going to use a transfer on a goalkeeper right now. Back three is Trent against Southampton at home, Gabriel versus Man United away, and Anderson versus Brighton away. Really not a great position to be in to have to play Anderson. But my other option is Mykolenko, who's up against Wolves away. So that would be double Everton defence against CUNHA. Or I sell one of them, right? But Anderson's only 4.2 million, so I'd only be able to buy someone 4.4 or below. There's not a huge amount of options. And Mykolenko's got West Ham at home in 29, which is a pretty good fixture. So I don't really want to sell him either. So I think unless I just don't buy CUNHA this week, I've just got to play Anderson next too. I don't feel great about it, but it's just the position I'm in with this team. Midfield would be Palmer and Salah, Leicester at home, Southampton at home, easy. Mbeumo, Villa at home, and Utara, Spurs away. It would be Nwaneri on the bench again. Then the front three is CUNHA, Everton at home, Isak, West Ham away, and Watkins, Brentford away. So that actually looks pretty good apart from Anderson. I'm not particularly worried about that. If I do the defender swap, it basically means I've got to play two of Nwaneri, João Pedro, and Utara every week. I don't know what's better, CUNHA and Anderson, or like João Pedro and Aït-Nouri. If João Pedro plays every game for like 70 minutes plus, it's probably the João Pedro option. But I just don't think there's a guarantee there. And then when we go into Game Week 29, I'll have 2 free transfers, and my options are basically open. If I really want to get Haaland in, for example, I can do it without selling Salah if I just sell Isak instead. So I could do something like Trent out to a defender that's got a fixture in 29. So let's just go for... I'm not going to go for Vardy because I think the money gets pretty tight. Let's just go for Dorgu at Man United, right? He's someone I might look at against Leicester away. So that will give me a lot of money to spend. Isak would then be sold to Haaland for 29. So let me just put him in. And then I could sell Watkins to Beto. Now, Chris Wood's got Ipswich away. He would be great, but he's just too much money. So I could go for Beto instead. And I actually think him against West Ham at home, if he's still starting and on penalties, is not that bad. And that would give me a pretty good team for Game Week 29. Not the best team on paper, but for free transfers, it's really not that bad. So Pickford and Mykolenko double up against West Ham at home. Dorgu against Leicester away. Gabriel, Chelsea at home. Midfield would be Nwaneri, Palmer, Mbeumo, Utara. And then up front, CUNHA, Haaland, Beto. And I could captain Haaland. And if I don't want to go for Haaland, by the way, in Game Week 29, I just don't make that move. I could just play Gabriel, Mykolenko, and then one of Anderson or Greaves if I wanted to, and just switch Isak and Watkins to Chris Wood and Marmoush, or Chris Wood and Beto, something like that. So from what I've looked at, doing João Pedro to CUNHA doesn't really stop me doing too much in the future, apart from that defender change. It just means I've got to play Anderson the next 2 weeks. I think I just want to live with that. I think CUNHA's a pretty good option this week, and João Pedro's just a headache, especially if Gjertsås says that Welbeck is fine. So if Welbeck's out, I might roll or make a defender change instead. But I think my most likely move is João Pedro to CUNHA. If you've enjoyed that video, make sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button, check out Fantasy Football Hub using the links in the description below, and I'll catch you tomorrow for final thoughts.